great to be spending some time with you this morning, going through and having a look at teams and your team structure and importantly team meetings. I think it's fair to say within Marshall White, teams are a fundamental way of growth of you as an agent, growth of the team, and also lifting the overall performance of everyone. Love to get your view on that right up front, and then we'll sort of zoom into the team meeting side of it.
Yeah, sure. Mike, thank you. I think it's fair to say, and I've been fortunate to be in the industry now for 16 years, and I think that the real estate has evolved dramatically in that time.
Absolutely.
And what I can acknowledge is that the real estate now is bigger than one person. And to go out there and try and achieve everything by yourself is overwhelming.
Absolutely.
You can probably only do that for 6 or 12 months. So I think it's fair to say that you need to employ people around you who have different skill sets and different strengths so they can really make the most of the industry.
Yeah, and therefore respecting massively those different strengths and playing to those strengths well and truly.
Yeah, exactly right.
Fantastic. Yeah, so you've got a great team, and your team communication is quite exceptional. Love to have a chat with you about how you go about setting that up.
Yeah, sure. So I think the important thing for our team and working in our team, there's no hierarchy. We're all in it together. We all know where we've been and where we're heading to.
Okay.
The thing that's paramount is with the momentum that the industry can run at, it's important that we've got clear, concise, open and honest communication, so that at any point in time, anyone in the team knows exactly where we're at.
Great.
So whether that be an administration, from a buying role, from a listing role, from a selling role, we all know exactly who's responsible for what.
Excellent. And the other side of that, if someone needs a hand, they can put their hand up and they're not going to say, dude, you should know.
Yep.
You've got a real support culture there.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and I think that there's moments where we're all running at 100 k's per hour. There's moments where we're running at sort of 60 or 70. And I make it very, very clear to the team that if we're running at 100 and you need help, put your hand up.
Yeah. Actually, I think there could be sometimes you're running at 120, 130, 140 k's.
I think so. So whether that helps internal or outside the team, I'm a big believer in if we need help, let's get it.
Yeah.
Rather than push ourselves too hard to the point where we break.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
So a big part of that communication has to be the team meetings.
Definitely, without a doubt. Yeah.
Could you quickly run through, what is your frequency, who's in the meetings, who's running them, that kind of thing?
Yeah, sure. So there's 2 meetings each week. The first meeting is on a Monday morning at 10 o'clock. The reason we've designed it at 10 o'clock and not 8 or 9 o'clock is to allow the first hour or 2 of the week for urgent matters.
A bit of a clean-up from the weekend.
Bit of a clean-up from the weekend, whether it be a sale file or an urgent listing that we need to get to.
Great.
So we're at 10 a.m. and it's punctual. So we never bump the meeting, which I think is critical. Out of respect.
In the office?
In the office,
yep.
Out of respect to the team. So we all know at 10 o'clock on a Monday morning we're there. And a term that I learnt recently in business is to go flat out. So in that meeting, we're completely in the zone for 45 minutes to an hour tops.
Great. Phones off.
Phones off, distractions away.
Great.
The meeting itself is run by Adriana, who's our team captain. Now, the reason that we empower her in that role and to run the meeting is basically she has a really good sort of helicopter view of what the team's up to.
Excellent.
What we've sold.
She's office-based as well.
She's office-based, yeah. What we've sold, what we're trying to sell, what we've listed, what we're trying to list. She's also across the marketing, she's also across the advertising. So she has a really good idea as to, where we need to spend some time, whether it be paperwork, contact details, compliance, you name it.
So it's a real conduit and a download driven by her to make sure, the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, very much focus on what needs to happen for the week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the good thing with Adriana is empowering her into that role, she has an agenda that she can work to, and if she finds that we get a little off track, because we all like to tell stories, she has full license to say, come on guys, back on track, back to the agenda.
Good. Yeah, good. Excellent. So she's literally driving that meeting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic. So within that, do you do any review work of the week that was?
Yeah, without a doubt. So the general intention is to have a review on the week that was and a preview as to what week we're about to step into.
Okay.
We've got
any cleanups?
Any cleanups, exactly right. And I think that with the pace that we all run at and the fact that from our team of 6, 2 are office-based and 4 are out in the field, we all need to know what's happening. Who's responsible for following up a certain item? Who's responsible for preparing information?
Yes. Yeah.
It takes the guesswork away, and because we are often out in the field, it allows the administration side of things to just happen in the background without them having to chase us and vice versa.
So this is very much an in the business meeting. You know, we talk about in and on the business. This is very much like you're focused on deals, clients, listings. Where are we at? Where is that buyer at? What do we need to do to get across the line? Yeah, great.
Exactly.
Shall we walk through the agenda?
We walk through the agenda, yeah, for sure. So the first topic we cover off on, first and foremost, is how was everyone's weekend?
Great.
At the end of the day, we're working our backsides off to support what we do away from the work.
Great.
So that sort of topic is share as much or as little as you like.
Excellent.
But it's important that we all understand each other. We work so closely together. We then move into, okay, properties that we've sold on the weekend. What needs to come from that?
Excellent.
Do we need solicitors' details? Do we need to follow up deposits? Are there possible trade-ins that we can chase for new business? So we cover off on the sold properties.
So you'd also include are there any hot buyers that we can navigate to another campaign or something like that? Yep.
So we have a hot buyers list for obviously the company underbidder list, but we also run a team underbidder list as well.
Good.
We look at, okay, what off-market transactions can potentially be done from those campaigns. A term that Marcus referred to many years ago in his training, which is the domino deal. So we meet 60 people at a campaign, we have 3 or 4 bidders, one person buys it, that leaves 2 or 3 underbidders. What can we do?
It leads 59 other people, of which 3 are underbidders.
Correct.
Yeah.
But those that are highly motivated in the zone, what can we do with them? What deals can we create? Can we put them onto another property that we're currently selling, or can we be creative?
Absolutely. Yeah, fantastic. So a bit of brainstorming around that.
We then move into passed in properties. What passed in? Why did it pass in? Where are things at? What has transpired over the weekend?
So a little bit of learning in there too.
A little bit of learning.
Why did that pass in?
Yeah.
Did we not pre-frame it well enough? Is there something else we need to do to learn for future campaigns?
What could have we done differently throughout the campaign? But importantly, put a plan in place for the next 48 hours.
Great.
Especially the week that would follow if we don't transact in the next 48 hours. We also look at, okay, what other properties have sold on the weekend that perhaps we can target, whether it be our team or another team, to then move buyers from that campaign to a passed in property.
Yeah, great.
So it's all about calls we can make, emails that we can send out, and possible SMSs.
Excellent. Yeah.
From there, we then do a review on the current stock. So
by the way, for someone who's had a property passed in, the vendor would be thinking, well, what's happening? By you spending the energy and time in the meeting, and it's a real brains trust. This is not one person; it's actually all of you focused on that. The plan could come up and go back and say, okay, here's the plan, here's what we're doing. The confidence that would give a client would be massive.
Without a doubt. And I think that's key to not only passed in properties, but properties that are travelling okay as well. Yeah. At all times, we make it abundantly clear to our vendors that we're not just relying on the advertising, that we're continually going out there, reaching out to buyers, because if we look at your buyer behaviours, we all know that buyers exclude before they include. So we're really, really mindful that we're being proactive throughout the campaign, and we're telling our vendors that as well.
Excellent. Yeah, very good. Great.
So we then move on to the next topic in the agenda, which is current properties. So how are they tracking? How many people came through? Who are our key buyers?
Great.
Are there any tweaks we need to make within that campaign? Is the paperwork up to date? Are there any sales that have happened over the weekend that would potentially influence our new statement of information?
Great.
Things like that. We also touch on, after we look at current properties, we look at and typically they're the auctions.
And what I'm looking at here, you've actually got the properties here.
We have.
And you've also got this space, what's the next step kind of thing. Yeah, coming from there. Yeah, excellent.
And I think that there's so much that can happen from the point of chase, list, sell, that why try and remember everything? Create a checklist. And just work through that. And Angela and Adriana in the team have full license at any point to evolve this.
Good.
If it's going to make their job easier, let's change it.
Excellent.
Without a doubt.
Excellent.
We then look at the private sales. What's happening with those? Do we need further advertising? Do we need to start advertising them because they could be quietly off market?
Could you flip them from private to
an auction?
Based on this result that's occurred.
Yep, exactly right. We also then look at campaigns that are starting this week.
Excellent.
Look at marketing, look at advertising. Are we on track with our deadlines?
Yep.
Who needs to have the communication with the vendor?
Okay.
Is it perhaps the buyer manager, or does Jason or I have to step in and have that conversation with the vendor? Does the vendor need to have a bit of Jason love, for instance? We then look at, with the meetings, what's on for the week with those campaigns that are starting. Have all our pre-campaign meetings been booked, and are they all booked in for the office?
Excellent.
Who's attending those meetings? Who's running those meetings? We then look at, okay, what photo shoots have we got? Who's attending those? How do we provide access to the photographer? Because I don't want a phone call on a Wednesday from a photographer saying, who's meeting me here? There's no one home.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's all about the planning.
It's great.
Planning for what could come out of this week, what could happen. Let's be proactive rather than reactive, because if we're proactive now on Monday, we're going to have so much more time in our week.
Yeah. And this is a really good example, and I know you've heard me talk about it, if it's worth doing again, create a system for it. So this is a system that allows you to think less about it, but know that it's actually handled within the team.
Yeah.
Good.
Exactly.
Great.
And the other great thing with having these agendas is if someone from the team is away for that day, it still happens.
Yeah.
And we've got a plan. So the actual, the consumer, the client or the purchaser isn't disadvantaged.
Good.
We then move on to, so covering off on the photos, we then look at, okay, the weekly bulletin that gets sent out. What sort of content do we want in that?
Great.
We then look at the virtual tour, so our property tour. What properties need to be put onto that? What properties
for the sales meeting?
For the sales meeting on the Tuesday morning. So what properties are commencing that need to go on, or what properties we have for sale at the moment that need a little more attention?
Yeah.
Because they may be a little off track in regards to interest. We then discuss settlements. What do we have settling this week? What do we have settling next week? And what's settling in the next 30 days?
Great.
On top of that, we're provided a list of what's settling for the future. But the concentration for this particular topic is, okay, well, what final inspections need to happen? Let's be proactive. Let's not wait for the purchaser to call us. Let's call them. Let's actually show some service.
That's awesome.
So we cover off on those properties that are settling this week and next week and say, okay, who's going to call the purchaser? Who's going to arrange that final inspection?
Great. And you also talk about gifts and that side of things then?
We certainly do.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice little segue. Thanks, Mike. So we cover off on the gifts. What gifts were given out on the weekend?
Great.
To both purchasers and sellers, and also what gifts are required for settlements.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
We then move to, and this is a simple one, but the auctions that we've got this Saturday, where do we want the actual board locations? So our sandwich boards, the open for inspection and auction boards.
Okay.
Yes, it sounds basic, but every now and again, our suppliers may have a different opinion as to where the board should be as to where we would like them to be. So again, we remove that guesswork. We instruct them what corners we want them installed on. We then look at agent accountability. So basically up until that point, the whole team is in the meeting. Before we move to agent accountability, we do a bit of general business. So is there any sort of topics we need to cover off on as a team? Is there anything that the administration side need from us and vice versa? The more notice we can give them, the better the outcome is.
Excellent. Excellent. So could this be a listing appointment coming up that I need a listing kit for or something along those lines?
Yep.
Great.
Spot on. We then step into the sales tail, or the sales end, I should say, of the meeting. So Adriana and Angela can move back into their busy Monday mornings. We can then move into our chase list. So the properties that we're hoping to list in the next 30 days.
Excellent.
And we review each and every one of them on the whiteboard. What was the last step? What's the next step? What could we do differently? We've got a checklist of probably 12 or 15 key points that we can do, touch points in regards to chasing business.
Fantastic.
So we're continually challenging each other, saying, okay, Mike, where are you up to there? What was the last thing you did? What's the next thing you could do? Have you thought about approaching it this way? And I think that it's really important in that meeting that we've got a safe environment. It's not a matter of why haven't you done this or why haven't you done
the right
that.
thing kind of thing.
Correct.
Yeah, it's
we work
what more can you do?
Exactly, and we work so hard trying to uncover these contacts, nurture these contacts. Then they put themselves in a position to buy or sell. And for some unknown reason, real estate agents think they have to achieve things by themselves. Now, as James Connell always says, if you can lean on someone else's skill set to improve the outcome, do it.
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So that's a really important part of the meeting for the sales guys to know, okay, where do we need to follow up?
Mm-hmm.
What can we be doing differently?
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to just drop in? Do they need to hear from an auctioneer?
Great.
Do they need to hear from a previous client?
So it's a real advancement session. So how do we advance this relationship? How do we get this client closer to being ready to list, and importantly ready to list with us?
Yeah, exactly right.
Okay.
As well as what properties in the last probably 3 days can we put onto the board to chase?
Excellent.
Now that's the formal part of the meeting. We review that board throughout the day and throughout the week.
Check-ins.
Add, minus and check-ins.
Mm-hmm.
But that initial meeting on a Monday, in my opinion, should cover basically everything that could happen during the week.
Great.
And it should not be longer than an hour.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, as soon as you get beyond that, the attention span starts to weaken.
Yeah. So when the admin team scoot, is that like at the 45-minute mark, something like that?
Yeah, basically.
So 45 minutes, they're out. You do another 15 minutes on your chase list, on your AA pipeline kind of thing.
Yep.
How are you going to really bring that forward, and then you wrap the meeting.
Then the other thing we touch on just at the end of the meeting is what off-market potential listings can we create?
Good.
So we do spend a fair bit of time that, and it could be a little bit of matching buyers with sellers, a bit of creative deals, and I think that the market is important to spend a lot of time with the properties that are on market, but also to have that healthy balance of what we're selling quietly off market.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of the let's play matchmaker here.
Yeah, exactly. That's the word.
And what impact has that had in terms of off-market deals for
Enormous.
you guys?
Enormous.
Yep.
It's this year alone, we've been really lucky. We've had 21 properties that we've sold quietly off market.
Wow.
Which is just shy of 55 million.
Yeah, the productivity of that would be incredibly high. The dollar,
brilliant.
The hourly rate on that is brilliant.
Yeah.
So it's a great combination of both of those.
It is, and the spin-off on top of that is it's a really good point of difference from a listing perspective. Because I think a lot of agents will sit down with vendors and say, yes, we've got buyers, yes, we can sell it quietly, but then to substantiate it with this list that we present, it's powerful.
Here's what we've sold quietly in the last 12 months.
Yeah, and we often politely ask the vendors to see if they can get the other agents to produce the same.
Yeah.
And that list is our team within a greater team.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, fantastic. Awesome meeting.
It is. Good energy.
And I can imagine everyone sort of, after that meeting, has got total clarity, total certainty, know where they're going and what they need to do.
Yeah.
Great. And I know you also have a catch-up on a Thursday.
We do, yeah. We have a little whip on a Thursday morning at 8:45. Now, the purpose of that meeting is really about Thursday and Saturday logistics.
Great. And who's in that?
So that's just the full sales people.
Okay.
So myself, Jason, Claire and Justin. So the intention of the outcome is really, okay, what opens and auctions do we have?
Yeah.
Who is opening each property? Who is attending the open? Who's locking up?
Great.
Who's then off to the next property to open? And then we really, I guess, simplify it in our diaries. And a lot of these strategies that I've shared, Mike, this morning are strategies that I've learned from working in previous teams.
Absolutely.
And it's just a matter of sort of taking bits and pieces that I've liked, putting it into our team that we run.
Brilliant.
So a little simple tweak in the diary is, for instance, with the appointment, we'll have O for opener, and it might be MS for Michael Sheargold, and then it'll be quite literally ATT, attend, DW.
Great.
So at any time, someone can look at their diary and they know, are they responsible to open, or are they're just to attend?
Yeah. So an attend could turn up
ideally on time, if not early.
Right on the dot, but the opener needs to be there prior to.
Correct.
Yeah, fantastic.
Boards out, flag up, property ready, brochures, you name it.
Brilliant.
Showtime.
Brilliant.
So that really removes that element on a Thursday and Saturday, having that communication throughout the day saying, oh, who's opening this? Who's doing this? Who's doing that?
Yeah, where are you going? Where are you?
Correct.
Yeah.
And it just allows us to have absolute clear plans for Thursday and Saturday.
Brilliant. Excellent. Dan, that's been awesome sharing that. Anything else you'd like to mention around team meetings or team?
The only other thing that I'd mention, and this is something that we're working on to improve, is that yes, we've got these agendas, but we'd also catch up quarterly. Great. Just to see what's working, what's not working.
Great. So this is the on the business meeting.
On the business meeting. We also discuss from an administration point of view, what are your bugbears?
Great.
It's a safe environment. what are the things that annoy you?
Great.
Because I think we can be quite selfish with our time as real estate agents because we are time poor. Yet we expect so much from our support team. So it's a really good chance for them to provide some feedback. Not that they have to wait for those meetings, but it's a really good environment to say, okay, guys, we're doing well. How can we do better?
Yeah, yeah. So more of, less of, what's working, what's not working, all of those kind of frames, brainstorm those and come out with an upgraded action plan.
Exactly.
And it might be, well, we can't do all of that, but we can do this and this in the next quarter. So you've really got a quarter race of improving the business, and then in the business you've got the weekly real focus on deals, what's happening and where to go. Yeah, great. Well, Dan, one of the things I really like about what we've discussed is how you see equality in the team, and that everyone plays an absolutely key role in the process. And I think that in itself is a beautiful headspace for a lead agent to have, because when you've got that in your mind, everyone in the team knows, including the admin and the client service team, really do know that you've got that level of respect for them. And when you've got that respect for them, they've got that respect for you. Exactly right.
And I think it's the other thing that I've always found to be really important is to take time out of my busy day and quite literally go and sit on someone's desk and just say, how's your day going?
Yeah.
I think we often forget that. And by having that 5 or 10 minute conversation, the power or the impression that leaves is enormous.
I agree. And I think sometimes agents can take dollar productive activity to the wrong level, where they're not connecting, they're not, the team are your most important connection. So how connected 100%. Are you? So those little check-ins and how are you, how are you going at the moment, particularly when you've got some large volumes coming through, absolutely critical. Yeah, and if you look at it, I mean, your team is your number one client. Absolutely. And you think about how we potentially treat some of our clients externally. Imagine if we did the same internally. The impact would be huge. Yeah. Dan, thanks for sharing your insights. Absolute pleasure. Thanks, this is going to go a long way to supporting the Marshall White way becoming a reality within the entire business. Good. I hope so. Thank you. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.